Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim, I'm joined by Kirsty. How are you?
I'm actually feeling, I don't know, a little bit weird at the moment because, of course, we've had some really big game releases and some really powerful game releases.
Yes.
And the new Metal Gear Solid has been playing with my mind a bit intense.
It's good getting back into all these different games. Obviously, there's a lot of releases coming out, and we're working hard getting those reviews out for you guys.
Absolutely.
And,
but we're
such a hard
also,
life.
I know, but we're also breaking up with some really cool kind of, I don't know, like I would say non-gaming, but I'd certainly say maybe, gaming culture segments for you this week.
Section
the plus
of
section
our New Game Plus
is playing very big this week, so we've got a lot of great stuff.
We're looking at cosplay with yourself.
I know. Oh, I'm so excited. So, as we're going to discuss, of course, we've got this really cool cosplay stuff coming up for BAM, of course, which is coming up in the next month.
Battle Arena Melbourne. Get excited for all you fighting game stuff.
Yeah. I'm so pumped. Plus, also something for you. We've got a bit of free to play.
Yes, the Dota documentary. We're having a look at that later on in the episode. We've also got some games, and what would be a game show without games? And Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare will be coming up as well.
Yes.
But our big review for this week
and big surprise as well.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2.
Ooh, the game that everybody's talking about. I mean, the hype for this game was absolutely intense.
Everyone is they like hurting themselves, just bashing their head up against the wall. They'll eventually beat the boss.
Yeah, they'll all crack their head open and die. But other than that, let's go straight into our first review.
Plants vs Zombies, a universally loved iPhone/PC game. The second one, not such a great reception. And then they announced Garden Warfare.
A third-person shooter based on the Plants vs Zombies universe, because why not?
Well, I think that's what got to me when they announced it. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like, who would have thought to put Plants vs Zombies into a third-person shooter atmosphere and make it like effectively Horde mode and Battlefield, and it would be friggin' great. Like,
it sounds like something you joke about at a bar, but PopCap have actually lent really hard into this. They've used the Frostbite 3 engine to give it the graphical
so it looks
splendor,
very nice.
and they've actually given some depth to the gameplay, the gunplay in Plants vs Zombies, yes. But they've given depth to it all, so it all feels balanced. All the classes that you have here on both Plants vs Zombies sides feel fun to play, and none of them feel particularly overpowered.
No, and I think that's what works, is the fact that even in Horde mode, like, you will get overrun by big zombies, but at no point are you, like, you can be run down if you haven't planned appropriately, but as long as you tick all the right boxes, you're in with a shot. Like, at no point do you ever feel like you got cheated out of the victory. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the important part when you're going to make a game like this, because the hardcores will deal with that kind of thing, but it's the casuals who are going to play it once and give it up.
And indeed, this game is fun to play if you're not taking it that seriously. Like in Horde mode, it's just fun to play with 3 other people. The multiplayer modes actually have quite a bit of depth, and particularly the Gardens versus Graveyards mode, which is effectively Rush.
Which effectively like Squad Rush from Battlefield, which is, again, if you said to me, I'm going to make a Battlefield game, but I'm going to use Plants vs Zombie skins, you'd be laughed out of. But here they are. They released it. They released it at a budget price. It's super duper fun. The booster system is probably the biggest point of conjecture, though. What did you think?
It just feels like you have to grind too hard to unlock things, especially since there are it's not just cosmetics that are locked behind the stickers. You also have character upgrades as well.
As well as like plantable plants and releasable zombies. So, I guess, look, it's one of those things that for the investment that you make, if you're looking for a good, fun multiplayer thing that's not giant robots falling from the sky, Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare.
I just like how loyal they've stuck to this, basically.
I think I'm probably one of maybe the only people that hasn't played this game on iOS. Like, I never actually played Plants vs Zombies on iOS.
Wow,
but
okay.
I don't know.
I can't look at you the same now. It's like you're a completely different person.
I know, but I never really got into that. It looked pretty strategic to me and a little bit...
It's not too much strategy to it. It's still, it was a lot of fun. I know I fiended it when it came out on Android, but this game, I would love to play it right now, I go into Origin on the release date and it's like, there's no release date for PC, so yeah.
It's like every other game. for you at the moment. No, it sucks. But I have to say, I was really surprised with this game. I didn't, again, having not, like, being familiar with the series, I suppose, or familiar with the kind of the big nature of it, but very, very surprised with the gameplay.
So, Horde mode with just, it's a fantastic idea. Horde mode is always a lot of fun, has been since Gears, and putting it into the Plants vs. Zombies universe, fantastic idea. Looks like a lot of fun.
But you have to get party chat. Like, that's the one thing. Like, when I played it, it wasn't with party chat, and it just seemed like such a missed opportunity. Although it was funny to hear the kids who'd left their Kinect sensor on and were talking about, like, one kid was like dying, like coughing and dying over the Kinect sensor, and we were like, turn off your Kinect. But we did no party chat, but that was hilarious. So yeah, it looked really cool.
XCOM Enemy Unknown was a great PC and console game that came out about 3 years ago. Then they decided they were going to release it on the iPad, and everybody got a little bit scared because, as we know, iOS games tend to be like kind of run-down versions of console games. There's very few console games that survive intact when they go over to the iOS. Luckily, XCOM for the most part did survive. There's about 2 maps missing from it, but honestly, I have yet to notice it. The game runs really, really well. So for those who don't know what XCOM is, you play a group of soldiers, like a squad of soldiers, fighting against aliens. I don't want to tell you any more than that because it's going to ruin it. That's the battle side. So if you're playing a battle, that's what's happening. It's you position your men. They either take shots, they either go into Overwatch mode, so they watch out for people's movements. It's a really fun, really great tactical game, and it builds a lot of, I don't know, connection to you guys because you can name them and you can set it so they permanently die. It's probably one of the first games in recent history that brought back permadeath. Then the other side is managing your resources. So every mission you do will take its toll on your resources, be that you might lose some people, it costs you a certain type of ammunition, or a certain type of resource, but in return you'll get another kind of resource. So it's all about managing, R&D for your weapons, your international relations. It's so hard to, there's so much going on in this game, and that's why the game is as expensive as it is, because it is not cheap by any stretch. However, for the full PC experience with a little bit of slowdown occasionally, but nothing too thick, the touch interface works really well. Everything about it just screams the PC version of the game, and that's exactly what you want out of one of these ports. XCOM Enemy Unknown on the iPad is fantastic.
One of my biggest passions with my love for gaming, my love for pop culture, my love for anime is cosplay. I absolutely love the feeling of getting dressed up and of making the costume myself. So I'm really glad to be bringing to you guys an ongoing series on cosplay creation. But I can't really do it on my own. So I've brought in a very good friend of mine and a very avid cosplayer and kind of famous on the Melbourne and Australia scene for some top quality cosplay, Danny, aka Shitenshi.
Hey!
Hello! So how about you just quickly introduce yourself? With what kind of cosplays you've done and what you like to do?
Okay, I'm Danny, been cosplaying for a number of years. I'm really into comic costumes at the moment, done a lot of game and anime as well.
So what's your favourite cosplay you've done?
My favourite cosplay I've done is my Judge Anderson from Judge Dredd Comics, just because I really like the armour, I like the craftsmanship in it, and I think it looks quite good.
Yeah, so we've actually got, this is one of yours, this is your Chun-Li costume, which I absolutely adore. Like, I think it's just the cutest.
Years ago.
And it's lots of fun doing cosplay, isn't it? Like, particularly when you choose, I found well-known characters, you get warmly welcomed by a lot of people. But by doing less well-known characters, there's just those few key people that kind of come forward and they're like, I've never seen someone do this, or nobody's done this before. It's kind of so much fun.
It is fun.
So what we're planning on doing first, I suppose, is we've got our next big event is Battle Arena Melbourne, and that's a fighting game tournament. It's happening in about 6 weeks' time. We want to do fighting game costumes.
Yes.
Now, what's the first thing you do when you try to decide what cosplay you want to choose?
I will find a game I like at the time and look at the characters, as I'm a girl, look at the female characters, look at something I'm comfortable wearing, and I know I have the ability to recreate.
It's funny you say that you look for girls, because there's also like a big section of the cosplay community that do crossplay.
Yes.
Because, I mean, to be honest, if you look at a lot of anime and a lot of Japanese video games, the men look pretty good.
They do. They do.
So it's pretty easy. So, well, since Battle Arena Melbourne is fighting games, I don't know, you've done obviously Chun-Li.
Yes.
Who else have you done in fighting games?
I've done Rose. think there was some others. I can't remember. I've done Princess Peach.
Well, that technically counts. She was in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
Hey, I've got a Daisy costume around here
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's right.
Costume done. That's it. Segment done. Anyway, so I'm very similar to you. That I tend to pick female characters. I don't tend to do male characters unless I do a female version of a male character. I did Solid Snake a while ago. So, but I also tend to look at characters, again, being someone of tan skin, it's quite unusual to find characters with darker features. So I tend to also look for characters with darker features, which is why I did Daisy, because Daisy is technically tan than Peach.
A little bit darker.
Yeah, and Jasmine from Disney films would be one that I would do. So we're looking at Dead or Alive 5 because we've got a lot of Dead or Alive fans here. And
Great.
Jason, of course, is getting buff, which you are as well.
Yes, I am actually in the process of getting buff myself.
So, which works for fighting game characters, which is nice because we're going to have an ongoing series about him hitting the gym, bulking up to do Bass Armstrong, and I'm thinking of doing La Mariposa because she's kind of bit kind of exotic, but she's got a matching outfit with Bass as well. But I don't know, what's the first step now?
First step I would be is look at the character you want to recreate, have a look and break the costume down in parts.
I think that's what we're going to do over the next week. So we will see you guys next week when we're going to be looking at materials. Ooh.
Yay!
The Forest is a sensory therapy environment designed for people with dementia. It was designed in collaboration with Alzheimer's Australia Victoria, and basically Opaque Multimedia has handled the development of the application. So what we have here is a virtual environment set in a forest. It's a nice garden-like environment where they have ultimate control over the environment. They're able to change the season, they're able to send wind through, they're able to control things like animals rolling through, and basically it's designed to give them a sense of control over an environment. So it's not so much an entertainment piece so much as it is therapy. It's really designed to improve their quality of life by giving them access to really a very calming and sensory experience that they wouldn't necessarily have access to otherwise. Well, the ideas of the project came about due to meetings held at Swinburne University. We discussed with Alzheimer's Australia Vic and Swinburne the ideas of different ways we could use technology to help people with dementia. That led to 2 direct projects, the first one of which was called the Virtual Dementia Experience. That's where we used similar game engine technology to produce an environment for carers, to give them an experience of what it's like to have dementia. And this is kind of an evolution of that project in some senses, in that we're now using the same ideas and the same technology to work with people with dementia. So rather than simulating aspects of it, now we're trying to directly cater to those people. The end goal of the project is to have this in basically every dementia care facility in the country. The reason why we want to do that is twofold. We want to improve the quality of life for people living with dementia. We can do that by giving them access to this virtual simulation of various environments. That basically gives them access to something they don't have access to normally, like they may not actually be able to travel out to the beach in the forest and that kind of thing. And the second reason is that with an environment like this, particularly an interactive environment, we're able to bring back a sense of agency and control over their surroundings that they don't necessarily have in a very tightly regulated environment like a nursing home. Well, we're interested in applying it to a number of different healthcare kind of situations. Pediatric care is a very good one for this type of interactive environment. Palliative care is also, along with rehabilitation, one which has a very long history of using sensory therapy for their patients. The Forest is built in Unreal Engine 4. It's one of the first serious games to be built using Unreal Engine 4, and it's also the first sensory therapy environment to be built using it. It's really interesting to get to use basically one of the best tools in the industry. Like we've come up using UDK, and it's a very interesting leap from basically the free version of their engine to a very commercially powerful engine. The next step in development is to basically expand on the fidelity and variety of the environment that we have here. We want to start adding more interactions, such as more animals and more effects you can have on the scene. We're looking into crowdfunding options through Posable to try and expand out the different types of environments we have as well. For instance, we can have a beach scene, a lake scene, ski slope scene. We do this because the Forest is designed to appeal to a broad set of people, but quite a lot of people have very specific tastes that the Forest may not suit, so things like a beach might be much better for them. Well, some of the stuff that we're looking for at the back of the project is having a different version of the project that care facilities get compared to them. They'll get one which has a bunch of, say, Easter eggs, things like seasonal changes. So you have, candy cane forest because it's Christmas time. You have Halloween forest full of pumpkins, all that kind of stuff. For the gaming audience, we're also looking at having things like, I don't know, giant robot firing lasers across the scene, stuff like that we've had in concept art.
I bet you I can say 2 words that'll anger Jason straight away. Peter Molyneux.
Look, before we even go into why he bothers us, let's talk about why we have to bring him up again, because I think that's important.
Rightio. So, Fable Anniversary.
So, that's the 2 words you could have said that would have made me even angrier. Fable is the most generic action RPG set in England that's ever been made, with a little bit of morality, a little bit of funny stuff.
Yes.
That's all it ever was.
Lo and behold, Microsoft releases it 10 years later.
Because it always had a big brand name. Like, people always bought the games, and I never understood it because, and this is where Peter Molyneux comes into it. Okay. He made a lot of good games in his early days when he had people telling him not to be Peter Molyneux and just make the frigging game. Yeah, he made some great games. Then he gets to Lionhead and they just go, he just starts spouting off how, trees will grow in real time, you'll grow as part of the world, the morality matters. None of it matters. It never mattered. It was just the simplest RPG you could ever make. And if you'd said, we're going to make a simple RPG, I don't think there would have been half the bullcrap around it.
Yeah, this is where we kind of diverge. I mean, I started this game, I played this game when I was 12 years old. I kind of didn't buy into all that PR bullcrap. I jumped into it thinking it was a generic action RPG, and I enjoyed it. I knew exactly what it was, and I just went straight into it.
So they remade it,
yes,
and they brought it back. From the bits I've played, I don't think it's for the better. I don't think they've reincarnated and it's Lazarus. It's come back as a zombie.
You know what it is, though? It's pretty much effectively Fable The Lost Chapters. So it's got all the expansions. There's pretty much bang for your buck. Unfortunately, it is retooled under the Unreal Engine, and it runs a lot worse than it initially did.
They didn't change the animations, so the animations don't fit the models.
Yes.
Everybody, horrible as it sounds, they look munted. Like, they look like they've been burned horribly. It's really, really ugly. But it looks like they've just taken the original models and upscaled them.
Yeah, but yeah, the worst part is that there's a lot of changes that they made for the worse. I mean, the UI is terrible. Yep. The animations are just the exact same.
Clunky, ugly.
If you really want to play Fable, go play the proper version, like the original Xbox version. You'll get a better impression of it.
The PC one, the Lost Chapters, they had it on PC.
Actually, exactly. Go for it. Do that instead. What are you, chicken chaser?
I just don't even know how to put into words how excited I am about this. I'm so glad to see a bit of a return to form, I think.
Yep. My knowledge of France comes from Napoleon Total War. So.
Well, see, that might be actually very handy if you start to play this game, because you might be able to bring across like strategic locations, time and dates of battles. But I have to say, I'm really excited for this because we're bringing it back to Europe. I had a real flash of Assassin's Creed 2 in this, in terms of the architecture, the use of the cities, I don't know, and the tension, of course, because, when you saw the crowd shots all hanging around the guillotine, and it's just like...
Get ready for some beheadings.
I know.
In beautiful next gen.
It'd be so funny if you remember how in Assassin's Creed you usually have that kind of white space when you talk to people before they die, and then it's used to say "Requiescat in pace." It'd be funny if it did that, and then he brought out this mini guillotine and then just cut off their heads and then just walked off screen. Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot they could do with this.
Yes.
I'm interested to see if they'll keep in navy battles, because obviously there were naval battles.
They've got a lot to draw on because it's getting on in the series. So how much are they going to change it up is the question.
That is the question. And in fact, again, like some issues have been the fact that we're back in France. It's not that different from Italy.
Yeah.
So how are they going to vary up the gameplay? But I have total faith. I mean, I'll enjoy the visuals if nothing else, but I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Shaney, it's time to prepare your dongers to die again, then respawn, then die again with
lose all your souls.
And lose all your souls with Dark Souls 2, the latest action adventure from Software. Now, this is a notorious game. It needs no introduction. Tell us, Shaney, what will convince the viewers out there, yes, you viewers, to play this game over and over again and die again?
Well, Dark Souls 2, it is the sequel to Dark Souls 1. It is the RPG. It is this insanely difficult game that you are going to get in. And people that were stressing that this was going to be a more, I guess, friendly version of Dark Souls 1.
Due to its director change, of
yeah,
course. Yes.
It's not really. It maybe holds your hand for the extra 30 seconds, maybe. But then it just, throws you off a cliff multiple times, and then
so
you start crying.
So at least there is some consolation. It does hold your hand, and it pushes you back, and it makes you want to love it over and over again, just like its previous titles, Dark Souls and Demon Souls.
There is a little bit more, I guess, tool assists for you. Like, stats are a little bit more explained, so you don't have to go to the wiki that much, but still you're gonna have to go.
Yeah, so as you can tell, this is a game pointed straightly towards the core audience. So, I mean, with casual audiences, a lot of people will buy into this for the brand name.
Yeah.
But like, what will convince them? I mean, because you're going to be dying a lot, you're going to be exploring a lot of traps. You got to be inquisitive. You got to be switched on the entire time, 100%.
Well, this is one of the games that, okay, it's not very story driven. There is a lot of lore. If you look into it and see it as a whole picture, there's a lot of lore.
Much like the previous game, Dark Souls, you are a character who is undead and he's trying to break free from this curse by exploring this sadist, treacherous wasteland of dead bodies and traps.
And you're not really focused on the story, so it's a lot very much focused on gameplay. So you don't really need to play Dark Souls 1 to get into Dark Souls 2.
Yes.
It is very much jump in and die multiple times.
Well, gameplay-wise, it is very based on timing and execution, as well as spacing, as we've seen on a lot of streams.
Yeah, it is always going to be a game about, I guess, luck and skill. It's not going to hold your hand. It's not going to be friendly to you. You're going to have to beat the game with your own skill. And I guess that's one thing I really, really enjoy, as it's kind of risk, kind of reward. It always gives you that feeling of success after you beat one of those really annoying bosses.
I do love the sound design as well. There's everything that is intimidating with Dark Souls 2 is mainly attributed to its sound. The visuals, not so much. Like, you can tell that the engine is aging a bit, but due to art design and everything like that, it manages to heft it up. It manages to make it passable.
Yeah, talking about the graphics, it hasn't really improved since Dark Souls 1. There's been a few modifications. The lighting engine was one of the big ones that really does look like a lot better than Dark Souls 1. And the other one is background. Background's amazing.
Yeah.
But you don't really look at it that much.
Well, spatial-wise, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you don't really need to hear anymore. It's Dark Souls. You know you're going to get into it. If you're a sadist, you love your difficult games, like Shaney, you're definitely going to love Dark Souls 2. If only they could make a drinking game for it.
Oh, wait. So yet another game that I'm waiting for the real version to come out.
The real version. What, the iOS version?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The moneymaker. Well, yes, and I think this is... Well, I would have to agree that this is a game I think I would like to... I would enjoy on PC because that high-end spec, the ability to increase the graphical quality really works in a game like this.
Yeah, I think just... The game itself lends itself to a hardcore audience, which tends to be the PC side anyway.
PC Master Race, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like a lot of fun, looks very challenging, very much like the first one.
I think I got to play this at Tokyo Game Show last year, but because I think it was in Japanese, or I just didn't know what I was doing, so I kept jumping off a ravine. And just jumping, and the game developer's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm jumping," because I don't know what I'm doing.
Testing for bugs is what you're doing.
That's it. Yeah, I was just driving into the walls. But yeah, this is look. I think this is the game that people were hoping for.
Yeah.
So if you love hardcore games, I think this is it, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly the people that are coming from number one and saying it's great as well. Yep. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But next week is the start of our big review season.
I know,
lots and lots coming.
I know, it's really good. We're starting to use our next gen consoles really well.
Next gen consoles.
Isn't it so cute?
So I'm playing a bunch of this.
It is so cute. I have to say that's one of the cutest ones I've ever seen. I'm in love with it. But yes, so keep an eye out for that in coming weeks. Bam! We've got also Supernova coming up on the 12th and 13th of April. So don't forget to check that out in Melbourne.
Thank you, Kirsty. So visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
And follow our Twitter @NewGamePlusTV.
And don't forget to watch our streams, Twitch TV /NewGamePlusTV. Thanks,
Thank you,
Timmy. And we'll see you next week.